Yes, Mr. Helm, we've received your many feedback forms, and I wanted to call and personally inform you that we're adding Strider Hiryu into TEPPEN. How do you feel about that? Really? That's amazing! When are we going to find out more about him? Oh, you should check our Twitter feed. I think you'll be very pleased. No! Good Saturday morning, everybody. You've probably already seen this, but a few of you guys asked me on Twitter if I would come give my thoughts on the recent announcements for TEPPEN. So here it is. We got a good chunk of info of some things that are going to be coming very soon, and here's my thoughts on it. Ada Wong from Resident Evil is coming to TEPPEN as the newest hero for this upcoming expansion that is abbreviated as Ada, I'm sure you get it, which stands for A Dark Agenda. I can definitely say that Resident Evil is, if not is, Capcom's biggest juggernaut franchise in terms of money-making power and being the most recognizable. I mean, you could probably argue that Street Fighter is a little bit bigger than that. Monster Hunter has definitely risen to one of those top 3 spots within the last 10 years. So there's no question in my mind that Resident Evil definitely deserves another hero in the roster, and I've been saying that for quite some time. I just feel like this pick of Ada is kind of boring. I know they unveiled in the trailer that she's actually the mysterious woman who's been bringing all of these characters to the Land of Illusion as part of TEPPEN's story, and while some people think that that's pretty cool, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of bland. Capcom has this rich, diverse history of franchises, and they've proven with the last few expansions that they're willing to delve into more, and I just kind of wish that we did get something a little bit more than Ada Wong as a hero. And maybe that's just me being bitter, because this expansion that's coming out actually is a 2-parter in terms of franchises, because now we are getting Strider Hiryu into the game. But unfortunately, he's not a hero this time around, or at least not yet. Who the heck knows? But for right now, he does have a legendary unit and some other cards too, which is super, super cool. You can expect me to make an entirely Strider themed deck if there's enough cards available. I don't care if it's good. I don't care if it synergizes well. I'm going to do it just to do it. We got to represent. So I am excited about that. But given the optics of it, the fact that we had the choice between Strider and Ada, I really wish they would have chosen Strider instead. Now, that's not to say that Strider couldn't come at some point in the future, but you've got to understand where I'm coming from in terms of appeal. And I know there's a lot of people that like Ada. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that they're really down for it. They're excited. This is something they're really looking forward to. And that's fantastic, and I'm sure Ada will add some fun playability to the purple color. She definitely kind of fits that theme with that air of mystery that she's had surrounding her in all the various Resident Evil games that she has appeared in. So in my mind, kind of a boring pick, especially over some things that we could get otherwise, but I know some people are pretty happy with it. And Resident Evil definitely deserves another hero. I do want to point out, without spoiling anything, do you remember those leaks from a few months ago that I briefly talked about in terms of talking about the new hero that could come out? Well, I did see those leaks, and the 2 heroes that we have gotten since then, which were Oichi and now Ada, the hero that was leaked was neither one of those. So there are some other heroes in the works that could be super interesting. That's pretty much all I can say to keep the Capcom cops and the Gung Ho gang off my back. So there you go. Also got to add in here, this card artwork is so sick. Here's the other really interesting thing that I want to talk about from this announcement, and that is set rotation. If you're not familiar with this, and other card games do this too, TEPPEN has had in its core programming, its core function, the ability to limit certain sets in ranked play for quite some time. It's been around for quite some time, but we always kind of assumed that they would wait until they had a lot of sets to choose from before they started pulling some out when it comes to ranked play. And now we're getting some information on that. It's been teased for quite some time, and we've been expecting this. A lot of people have asked for it because they think it'll really spice up the game. It will foster possibly the most deck creativity that the game has had since it came out, and now we're finally getting some info on it, which you can see right here, talking about standard and unlimited, which is not a new concept. Hearthstone has a similar concept to this. Magic the Gathering's standard format kind of rotates in the same way, and this just talks about certain cards won't be available for use in standard, but unlimited you can use whatever you want. The sets that are going to be rotated out are the first three expansions expansions the game ever received, and that was Day of Nightmares, The Devil's Awaken, and The Forseekers. So basically, each time a new card is going to be added, a new card set, one of the old card sets, excluding core, because core is, functionally, it's what new players get the most cards of, that one is going to stick around, but the rest of them are going to begin to rotate out. This is really, really exciting. It's something that a lot of people have asked for a very long time, and I just explained why, and it is coming. We finally have a slate for when it's coming, but there wasn't a lot of killer communication on this from Gung Ho Japan. Let me stress Gung Ho Japan, because the North American reps cleared this up for us. We're actually not getting a set rotation until 2 months after this Ada set comes out, and the Ada set is going to come out in March, so that means set rotation will be rolling around sometime in May. For me, this is pretty underwhelming, and I've talked to some other people who are underwhelmed by this too, because in all honesty, this idea of set rotation was more exciting for me than just another hero. This was going to mean the biggest shakeup in terms of what is being played. It's going to foster so much creativity. A lot of things were just going to be shaken up. Basically, the table was going to be flipped, and now we have to wait even longer for this table to be flipped. And I think that that's problematic, mainly because, this is something that folks have been asking for a long time. And when I say folks, I'm not talking about the entire community, because I can't speak for everybody. But there was a lot of discussion in the TEPPEN Discord Friday afternoon about this. And a lot of people were really hoping we would get this sooner rather than later. There's definitely an air of disappointment when people realize that we're going to have to be waiting even longer for this. And the other issue that goes along with it is that this was going to have a big impact on balance. And balance changes and patches and updates and card adjustments, even hero art adjustments, are something that players have wanted to see more of from the TEPPEN team. Now, last year, they initially announced that they were going to slow down, and this was around summertime of last year, so summer of 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the point where they announced that they were going to slow down the release of card sets ever so slightly, and this was partially in response to the pandemic, but they also said this would allow them to balance the game more often. Now, just by the numbers and looking at a calendar, I'm not going to break all those numbers down for you. That's more appropriate for a guy like Durian, who talks about numbers and statistics. But I can tell you that they haven't really kept that schedule that they said that they were going to keep to. And that's pretty disappointing. A mobile game, especially one like this, can only rely so much on the notoriety of the franchise and people just deciding to stick around because they've been married to the game for so long. There's this sense of goodwill that it comes to the player base, and that can definitely be burned. And when you kind of say one thing, but you don't deliver on what it was you said you were going to do, that can upset a lot of players. And part of that is just from bad communication. And that's probably going to seem really harsh, but there's a history of the development team in Japan not being very clear in terms of their communication about the direction of this game. And I think that leads to some communication issues where it leaves a lot of the players really wondering what's going to happen. And I'm not just talking about the Western players or even those in Europe. I'm talking about the Japanese scene too. It leads to some confusion, some weird decisions that have kind of put the game in this weird place where it definitely needs a lot of balance, but we're not really getting it. Even though they said we were going to get balance more often than we were, in all honesty, it's about the same. And as you know, the balance changes are hit or miss. In fact, the last one where they touched a few cards, Artifact X in particular, some of the changes seem really out of left field. And I know that they've said they base their changes on data, and at this point I'm just kind of ranting in an off direction. But I'm going to rein myself back in just to say this feels like a bit of a misdirection. And maybe it was the player base's fault for assuming too much and assuming that we were going to get this sooner rather than we did. Because the developers do listen to some of the things we suggest. We finally got spectator mode, which was the #1 request for kind of fostering people to be able to be exposed to this game. I just wish we were getting set rotation a lot sooner than we're actually getting it. Bottom line is, there was some cool stuff in the announcements that were made from the TEPPEN crew today. I'm really excited to see Strider included, and you know, a new expansion will always bring new technology, new cards that a lot of people are going to get really excited about. And set rotation is a great idea, and I can't wait for it to be here. The problem is, I really don't want to wait until May, especially when it was teased last year that we were going to be getting it. You know, I'm just not a big fan of delays. Maybe I'm, you know, being a little harsh, but that kind of deflated my hype for this announcement a little bit. But I am excited for Strider, and I am going to play the game a little bit more when this expansion comes out. And I've been streaming it on occasion, and this is a great chance for me to plug, hey, you should go follow me on Twitch. I don't just stream TEPPEN, I also stream Final Fantasy 14 if you're into that. Sometimes I play Rust, and people suggest games for me to play as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope everybody's doing okay, staying safe with all this winter weather, and of course the pandemic that we are still dealing with. So make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, your friends, and your family, and I'll see you next time.